let us list out some common features which made QlikView more popular in the recent times. So you can take n number of generic factors why QlikView and all. So it is something like a cost effective when compared to other traditional BA tools like a Cognos or MSBA or MicroStrategy, or it can also the time taken to implement the reports and dashboards is pretty it takes very less time to do that, and it also has a powerful capability of doing a UI driven capability. Let's say whatever the reports as a developer I am just building it, I can directly publish onto the QlikView server. By that the user will connect to the server and you can fetch the reports. So if you keep on going on this and the value is being doubled, after coming in, we are building the reports based on this tool. So if you are talking about this, there are n number of generic features which make QlikView more popular. Okay, but these are not the features which make QlikView more popular. In real time, there are two main factors which make QlikView more popular. The first one is in-memory and the second one is Agile methodology or typically Agile BA. So what exactly is in-memory is? In-memory is reading the data from the RAM instead of reading it from the hard disk. QlikView is a reporting tool. It's a typical business intelligence reporting tool and it is designed on in-memory. So we are calling typically as an in-memory BA reporting tool. Okay, what are the other unique things about QlikView is it can get the data from multiple sources. Multiple source systems. Let's say I have a database, I can get the data from the database, or I can have the database, something in a flat file or Excel file or CSV. I can get it, or I can even get the data which is lying in the cloud computing environment. So I can get the data from multiple sources and I can extract and I can perform some transformation and reload it, and on top of it in the workbook or the layout I can go and build the reports. And the QlikView, let us going back to the two factors which we discussed is in-memory and the Agile BA. So why we are talking about a process here, Agile BA is, so there are many processes before Agile methodology which has been more popular and something like a V model or a waterfall model. So all those models, which are being currently used has been outdated and everyone is following with Agile methodology right now. And you guys typically know how Agile works and all. So where it contains a typical iteration which consists of a 2 week or 3 week, and it has the typical stories, and each story consists of an acceptance criteria against it. And each acceptance criteria talks about what needs to be tested or what needs to be developed or what needs to be implemented or whatsoever. That means each and every requirement will be captured in the form of a story here. And it will be break down into small pieces of requirement. Okay, so that I am just giving a high level overview of the Agile methodology. Here if you see, we have talked about two reasons. One is in-memory, another one is Agile methodology. Why are we going to take these two things and how these two can make QlikView more popular is? There are just one way, let's go one step back and discuss. Before this, we also have a traditional tools like a Cognos or MSBA. So why am I not preferring to go and learn some or go and take a tool, something which from a typical reporting purposes? It's not something like Cognos is not offering. So there might be the features which made Cognos also popular. The only reason why Cognos or some other tools has not been outdated is only because of the current methodology which the IT has been running. So at that point of time, the client used to follow some kind of model, view model or a waterfall model. They typically used to wait for 3 months or 6 months of time to see the product outcome. But now the everyday Agile methodology on the iteration basis, it will happen on a typical 2 week or a 3 week. At least the client will know what is the visibility of the product outcome in a week's time. Or at least he might be knowing what else, if there is any mistake from his end in the problem, gathering the requirement from the business, he can even go and correct that. There is a lot of scope for the users and there is much feasibility for the users in Agile methodology. So that's why every client is going to go and prefer the Agile methodology. So if at all you are following an Agile methodology and I need to use a tool which can retrieve the data pretty much faster. So in-memory case technology will help me to build the data, retrieve the data pretty much faster. And because of these two reasons, I am going to use a tool which is built on in-memory and which can be in sync with my Agile methodology. So I am preferring one of the reporting tools here called QlikView. So it's not something like the other reporting tools doesn't have the features what QlikView is offering and all. So it is only because of these two features which cannot be in sync with Agile and which cannot retrieve the data pretty much fastly. So which other tools can be in sync here and we can pretty much do in QlikView. So that's why QlikView has become much popular. And let's talk about one more question here. So if we are talking about in-memory has come, this in-memory tool which has come up in the year 90s. Then why we didn't use in-memory tool at that point of time? So because it is retrieved very much faster. There is an obvious reason. There are two obvious reasons. One is the data volume is not that much high, huge in the 90s. Now if you talk the data is now it is going to unstructured data which you are using predictive analysis to handle with Hadoop. The data has been there till that extent. But at 90s there is no such data and hardly any other systems has been automated. That is the reason which didn't make the QlikView more popular in the early when the tool has come up. And the second reason is at that point of time the RAM cost is pretty much high. Now the RAM cost has drastically come down and more people in memory is coming more near to the consultants or even for middleware consultants also. So that's how the history of how the QlikView and what is this and how it is works and typically. So any questions, guys? Or is it not clear, or maybe my slang is not clear, or how it is?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so if you don't have any questions, I'll proceed further. Okay, so as we discussed, the QlikView is a tool which can retrieve data from multiple sources and it can also make an associative connections. What is the meaning of associative connections is? This is one of the main difference between QlikView and other BA applications. So in a traditional BA reporting tools, there will be a navigation which needs to be followed. As per what it is in the region. If you take here in the example, in the region, you need to go to the state. You need to go to from state to the product and from there to the salesperson. So it's not like something like how it is in the other reporting tools. In QlikView, it's purely on an associative basis. You can navigate in either of the way. So to conclude this statement, other traditional tools are purely ID driven tools. But whereas QlikView is something which is a user driven tool. Next. So let's discuss about the QlikView architecture. So the QlikView business architecture is very straightforward. It usually consists of a desktop and a server and a publisher. So usually these three are the main three components, and there are other two components which are nothing but not on the interface side. It is purely a web browser which will interact with publisher server. So let us discuss about each one. The first one is a desktop. Desktop is where a front-end GUI based Windows GUI based tool where you will perform your development activities and designing activities. Let me make you one thing clear. As a developer, you are supposed to perform the development, you are supposed to perform the designing, and you are supposed to perform to do a couple of administration activities as well. There will be a dedicated admin for QlikView, but we are supposed to do the admin activities as well to an extent. And in the designing, we'll see shortly all the desktop and everything here. And the next one is the QlikView server. As we discussed, QlikView is a UI driven tool. Whatever the reports as a developer they are publishing, it will be published to QlikView server. And it will be published to QlikView server via QlikView publisher. So in the old versions of the QlikView, there is no concept of publisher. Directly from desktop to server it used to be published. But now there is a publisher which will bypass the load, which will take the load of all the data and it will be published via publisher to QlikView server. How to interact with server and publisher? Server and publisher both are server side products. How to interact with server and publisher is we have a QEMC, which is a web browser which can be opened and where you can configure and where you can publish your documents, where you can do a scheduling of the task, where you can store your user documents, where you can configure to the users. Let's say I want to give admin access to the user. So yeah, you can do that. And this document, whatever the report I'm publishing, needs to be shown only for these few users. Yeah, you can do that. So, and I can also publish these documents to QlikView server via QEMC management console only. So this everything can be done by communicating to the server and publisher here. So the last one is access point, QlikView access point. Access point is nothing but a URL. It is also a web page where we are giving the access to the users. The user will go typically, and from there he will go and connect to the QlikView server with his login credentials, and he will go to the respective path and he will see his report. So I've just given an outline here. The original architecture looks much vague, and also I just given pretty straightforward. As a designer or a developer, we will be publishing the documents to QlikView server via the QlikView publisher, and the access point is where we enter the user ID password and view the reports or dashboards. How to communicate to publisher and QlikView server is with the help of QEMC. So let me quickly open this. I formatted, I was asked to replace my laptop, so I cleaned up everything here. I don't have much information on my system right now. So let me open. Okay, so I just opened up here. Is it visible for you guys clearly, or?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
So right now I don't have that on my system, so I just opened it from the Google. So here, if you see for the back end, QlikView desktop. This desktop, 1 second. Okay. So here if you can see, the first one is the desktop, where in the typical desktop all your source documents. Here source documents means there are two types of document base. Here it is QlikView QEW and QVD files. What is QVW is QlikView workable file or worksheet file. What is QVD is QlikView data file. These two source documents. So my reports contains in QVW format and my data contains in QVD format. So there is a unique feature which any other reporting tool doesn't have. So usually I'm not pretty sure which reporting tools you guys are working, I couldn't recollect, but QlikView is something when you are fetching the information, let's say my source information in typical Oracle database. I'll connect to the Oracle and I'll fetch my information, the data from different tables, and on top of it I'll create a QVD files for it. And from the second time onwards, I don't try to connect to the DB to get the data. Instead of that, I will simply call that QVD file. So now there might be a straightforward for you guys. The doubt in your mind is like, how will you get the implemented data then? Now you are getting the QVD file, and after that, if the DB updates, how you get the implemented data? But to overcome that limitation, we have a powerful technique in QlikView called incremental loading. So we'll do that. So that we'll be discussing in our future classes. And the QEW is where typically your reports and dashboards contains. And we are publishing these documents to QlikView server via QlikView publisher. And how we are accessing that is the clients, if you can see, they are connecting to QlikView server and they will be able to see the reports here. Any questions guys on the architecture?
No, I'm good.
So next, so QlikView desktop is pretty much easy to install. You can directly download it from QlikView.com and you can install this. It will basically install your personal edition. So let us open some list of these are all the QEW files here. So QED files is something which we will create for better data retrieval. For an example, let's say I have an Excel file which contains some 3,50,000 records of data, and it will nearly take me around 1 or 1.5 minutes to fetch the information. But the same thing in QlikView will take you in 1 second or less than 1 second. Yeah. So if you can clearly see here, this is where how I build the reports here. I mean, how to build the reports, and this is where the edit script window where you typically go and perform all your scripting activities here. So once you perform the scripting, so you can just do a reload here, which will automatically fetch the information, and on top of it, you can build the reports here. So going back to this, let us click a new here and see. So if I click cancel, it will take me inside of the QlikView, and if I go to the edit script window, by default I do have some kind of set commands here. So what does this mean is, this is what the default how in the tool how the format is going to be. The time format, the date format and everything. So here if you can see, this is my default format of timestamp, month, date, year, hour, minutes and seconds. If you want, you can go ahead and change that. But it is telling that in tool, this is the default setting I have. Next, if you can see here, I am able to connect to the database, and I am able to connect to the data from files also. So data from, database, and it is showing from files. If it is something on external files, you can do from files, or you can also connect to the FTP, and you can connect get the data on the remote location. And here, if you have the database source, you can connect to the database type, and you can connect and you can fetch the information. So for now, here there are some list of, for now let us ignore these DLL files, we'll come back to this DLL file, and here I have ODBC and OLEDB. So can anyone list out me quickly what is the difference between OLEDB and ODBC?
Sorry, OLEDB is the one need two drivers.
Asking what OLEDB
Directly connects, but ODBC is a middle layer which connects to the database with the application.
But how about OLEDB then?
OLEDB is directly connects to, there is no intermediate between, there is no engine between the database and the application.
Yeah, so but both are from the providers of Microsoft. So here what I would like to do is, I would like to take a OLEDB here, and how I am going to connect to the DB is, while click connect here, so I just removed Oracle on the system because I told you that I am going to replace my laptop. So once I got my laptop back, I will show you how to connect to Oracle and SQL Server. And here for now I am taking a DB provider, and I am taking the database name here. I am typically trying to connect to the access file here. Click open, test connection, okay, okay. So it was able to connect that. So now I click select here, and I am trying to get the customer's information. So if you click this, it will give you simply SQL select star from customers. So make sure you are checking preceding load also. For now, let us assume that preceding load is checked on. Preceding load checking on will give you load and list of all the columns. So for now, let us assume this, the preceding load will be checked on. We'll come back shortly of what is this preceding load and all. Okay, so click OK. So I was able to connect to the access file and get the customer's table information. So now I would like to click table files and get transact.csv, click open, and it is showing this is my delimited file with the comma separated. OK, click finish. If you want the data which is on the FTP, you need to click use FTP and then click table files. You need to put the address, username, password and get the information. So for now I don't have anything on the FTP, I am unchecking that. And we'll come back for the remaining options like relative path, absolute path, and getting the data from QlikView file shortly. And now what I would like to do is, I have one table information which is lying in Salesforce cloud environment. So what I would like to do here is, I will select the Salesforce DLL. The Salesforce.dll will come from our Google guys. I mean, it's not something which I didn't, because this is a personal edition. I extracted that from the Google source. Okay, so for now, if at all you want to connect in your real time, you need to get that from your QlikView partner where you are purchasing the QlikView. So they will provide you the connector manual and supporting DLL file, which will enable us to connect to the cloud environment. So how we need to connect here is, click connect. It is asking to provide username and password. Okay, I have this. So I'm just trying to give this information here, and this is asking for a password and it is also asking for a security token. So I'll go here and provide the security token. Oh, sorry. Not I'm going to copy. I don't know why. Yeah. So we will click test connection. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll come back to this guys. Something has been logged out. Did I connect to checkpoint? No. Okay, so when I click this and I click OK, so then it will show me how to, the list of all the tables lying on the cloud in this object. I'll come back to this Oracle connectivity and this DLL connection in the tomorrow's class. And for now, I'm saving this and I'm taking this as a DB. And if I do a reload, it was able to connect to the access file and get customer's table information, and the transaction table is trying to get 737 records. You can click close, OK, and you can see how the data modeling, everything can be done in table viewer. Here it is there. You can see how typically how the table view, how the data modeling, everything. So we can do all our data modeling here only. Okay, so that's how, I would like to restrict this. I just want to take the feedback from you and how, how the session is going on, or is there anything, the feedback which can make our sessions much better from the next class or something like that.